What's going on, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and just like cars, phones are replaced on a pretty regular basis as well, be it a new design, a new model, a combination of the both that's intended to replace an older model. It happens on a regular basis in the wireless industry, and such is the case with the Samsung Intercept from Sprint. It's really a replacement to the Samsung Moment with some similar features, but also some changes as well. So, just to give you a quick rundown, 800 megahertz processor in the Intercept, just like on the Moment. A little bit different display. Both are 3-inch displays, but the Moment had an OLED display, while the Intercept has a WQVGA display. EVDO revision 0 on the Intercept versus EVDO revision A on the Moment, and Wi-Fi 802.11b and G as well for connectivity there. It's running Android 2.1. So feature-wise, it's a nice mid-range Android device. But first, special thanks to our friends at Best Buy Mobile for hooking us up with not one, but two Samsung Intercept devices for use in our One Paw Bandit giveaway. One thing I love about Best Buy, there's no mail-in rebates. So instead of going to a corporate store and you're getting that device you think you want for $199, and you get to the counter and it's really $299 with a $100 mail-in rebate, it's $199.99 out the door with Best Buy. The mail-in rebates are instant, so you don't have to deal with any messy paperwork or waiting 8 to 10 weeks to get your money back. You get it up front, so that's kind of nice. But hey, enough of that. Let's get into the Samsung Intercept unboxing, which starts right now. Okay, here's the Samsung Intercept, and you'll notice that the box is much smaller than boxes we've seen in the past. The Now Network on the side, and of course specs on the back, and then what's in the box on the side, and a nice picture of a lady staring at the really oversized device unboxed. Anyway, let's unbox that. And one thing I'll tell you, this is a CDMA device, so the PR people had to activate this prior to sending it to us. So it's kind of a fake unboxing because the device is already activated, but they're kind enough to leave the stickers on and leave it package it back rather, so we get that nice sticker sound. So that's good. In the box, instruction manuals, battery, micro SD card. Micro SD card adapter. The micro SD card is inserted in the handset, so that's a nice little addition. USB cable, which doubles up as the charging cord for the AC adapter. You'll notice that it's a USB-based AC adapter, so the USB cable plugs in there, doubles as the charging cord. Okay, and you'll notice some design changes. I'm going to be comparing it primarily to the Moment, since this is the, for all purposes, the replacement to the Moment. You'll notice that the design's a little bit more curved versus the Moment. It's not as boxy in the hand. It's a little bit smaller. It feels a little bit smaller, at least on the sides. I don't have the dimensions in front of me, so I'm not entirely sure, but it feels smaller in the hand, and you'll notice the chrome around the edges, micro USB port on top for charging, 3.5mm headphone jack, and camera shortcut button on the right, volume rocker, micro SD card slot on the left side. Let's see how big the card is that comes in the box. It's probably 2 gigabytes. Yep. 2 gigabytes. Oops. There's that. And then a revised front. You'll notice that the bottom is much more curved than the Moment. Same optical trackpad. One single send-in dual button there. One big piece of plastic, I should say, with 2 buttons. And touch buttons on the bottom for the equivalent of a right click, the menu button, home, back, and search. So it's powered on now. And let's play around with this sucker. You'll see, if you remember my videos of the Galaxy S series, you'll notice that the skin on the Intercept is very similar to what's on the Galaxy S line, and the Epic 4G on the Sprint side. So very similar there. And it feels to be, a little bit thinner as well. Nice QWERTY keyboard, 4-row QWERTY keyboard. This is one frustration for me. It may not be for you, but one of the biggest issues I've always had, I don't like having letters down by the space bar. I like this to be a dedicated row for symbols and for space. I kind of like how you would expect a regular QWERTY layout to be. So I'm used to, having Command and Alt and Option, Control, things like that down here by the space bar. And it kind of screws me up a little bit for the first couple of days when I'm using a device like this. Otherwise, the keys are very tactile. If you can hear the audible click, soft but tactile, and the keys are large as well. So for somebody that either has large hands or has terrible vision, both of which I have, it's a nice keyboard. You know, design aside, if you look at the actual software, just from first glance, it's very similar to the Galaxy S skin that's on those devices. If you remember my videos from New York a couple of weeks ago when I was at the Galaxy S launch party, you'll recognize the menu bar and just the general color theme, the kind of gray on the navigation versus the off-colored white, the 4 shortcuts up here. Very similar in that regard. The biggest difference is instead of the 4 shortcut buttons on the bottom, you'll notice a very vanilla Android apps dock. So opening that up, or apps drawer rather, excuse me. Opening that up, you'll see typical Android apps, alarm clock, browser, calculator, calendar, all that good stuff. One thing that I like, out of the box, the Intercept has a good memo application. That's always been one of my frustrations with Android devices is I'm one of those people, I leave my phone by the bed, type out some quick notes before I go to bed, or if I wake up and think of something for work, tasks to do, whatever, I'll write it down on the phone. And Android doesn't have a good default notepad. So I was always resorting to text messaging myself. So it's nice to see that Samsung threw that on out of the box. So nice memo app. Sprint as well, typical Sprint installed programs, Sprint Football Live, Sprint TV, Sprint Zone, and NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile. This one actually doesn't have Sprint Navigation pre-installed like most of the other ones. I'm assuming they finally realized that Google Maps was more than enough and they decided not to install it this time around. So a little bit of a departure from the Evo and a couple of the past Android devices that did have Sprint Navigation installed in addition to Google Maps. Visual voicemail as well, which we'll personalize that later, and you'll see a little sample there as well. We'll throw it on speaker.
See who left you messages, listen to them, and
so a nice free feature, the visual voicemail on Sprint, in addition to Sprint TV and NASCAR, Sprint Cup Mobile, things like that that are all included in your price plan. So some nice benefits. So much more to come on the Samsung Intercept, a neat little mid-range device for Sprint. You can pick it up now for $99.99 after a $100 mail-in rebate at Sprint retail locations or online at sprint.com. We'll have more coverage as well, first impressions, dogfights, reviews, all that good stuff. For PhoneDog.com, I'm Aaron. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.